Why do you believe there's no wider threat to the public?
Well, we have crime in Tucson all the time, right? Like any city. And so when you say a threat to the public, is there somebody out there who's kidnapping elderly people in the middle of the night every night?
100% sure of that. And so it'd be silly to tell people, yeah, don't worry about it. You're not his target. Don't think for a minute that because it happened to the Guthrie family, you're safe.
For weeks, investigators told the public they finally had it. The massive breakthrough that was going to blow the Nancy Guthrie abduction case wide open. They had the timeline. They had a digital footprint. They had the phantom suspect caught on a neighborhood doorbell camera. But tonight, that entire narrative has just shattered. The most crucial piece of digital evidence tying a suspect to Nancy's neighborhood has been completely thrown out. The timeline has collapsed. Today, I'm going to explain exactly how a catastrophic technical error just reset this entire investigation to day one, and the desperate new plea Nancy's family is begging you to hear. Welcome back to the channel. Everyone, if you are new here, and we dive deep into facts, the evidence, and the timelines of the most baffling cases unfolding right now. Today, we are looking at the stunning March 24th update in the abduction of Nancy Guthrie. The ground just shifted beneath this entire investigation. If you want to stay updated on every twist in this case as it happens, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Let's get straight into the facts. To understand the magnitude of what just happened, we have to rewind to the date that law enforcement has been obsessing over for weeks. January 11th. For over a month, January 11th has been the absolute cornerstone of the Pima County Sheriff's investigation. This date is exactly 3 weeks before Nancy was abducted on February 1st. Neighbors, community watch groups, and the family were all explicitly told by detectives to focus every ounce of their memory on this specific Tuesday. Why? Because investigators believed they had caught their predator stalking the hunting ground. The linchpin of this entire theory was a piece of smart home technology. A Google Nest doorbell camera captured a suspicious individual pacing the perimeter of the neighborhood. The individual is clearly seen without a backpack, a detail that matched key witness descriptions of a man seen lurking in the weeks prior to the kidnapping. The timestamp on that video file was clear as day, January 11th. It gave police a definitive starting point. It meant the abduction was premeditated. It meant the suspect was local, or at least intimately familiar with Nancy's routines. But here is where the case completely falls apart. In a stunning retraction, tech giant Google has officially invalidated the timestamp. In a devastating blow to prosecution and the investigative team, it was revealed that due to a server synchronization glitch and a firmware update error within the specific Nest device, the digital metadata is entirely compromised. The technical failure here isn't just a small glitch. It's a terrifying look at the fragility of digital truth. When we talk about a server synchronization error, what we are really saying is that the heartbeat of the evidence stopped. In modern forensics, investigators rely on something called Network Time Protocol, or NTP. This is how your phone, your doorbell, and the police server stay in perfect sync. In Nancy's case, it appears the Nest camera experienced what experts call a cache overwrite. During a routine firmware update pushed by Google in mid-January, the internal clock on several thousand devices in the Southwest region reverted to a factory default setting for a period of 6 hours. If that suspicious individual was caught during that window, the January 11th tag wasn't a fact. It was a mathematical guess made by an automated system trying to reconnect to the cloud. Google and the digital forensics team cannot legally or scientifically prove that this video was actually taken on January 11th. It could have been taken the day before the abduction. It could have been taken 6 months ago. The 20-day stalking theory, the very foundation of the search warrants and neighborhood canvases, has evaporated into thin air. A piece of evidence that the public trusted implicitly has been completely thrown out of the window. This creates a chain of custody nightmare. For a piece of evidence to hold up in a kidnapping trial, the prosecution must prove it hasn't been tampered with or altered. By admitting the timestamp is unreliable, Google hasn't just made the police's job harder. They have handed any future defense attorney a get-out-of-jail-free card. They can now argue that the man in the video, the man we all thought was stalking Nancy, might have been a simple delivery driver from 3 months ago, or a neighbor's guest from last summer. The predatory intent that was driving this investigation has been legally neutralized. You can imagine the absolute chaos this revelation caused inside the precinct. Law enforcement had essentially built a house of cards on a faulty digital foundation. When confronted by reporters about the collapsed timeline, the Pima County Sheriff stood at the podium, looking visibly deflated. His response was chilling in its uncertainty. He stated, he may have been there prior to the incident. I just can't say with any clarity at this juncture. Think about the legal ramifications of those words. I just can't say with any clarity. In a court of law, a defense attorney will tear that uncertainty to shreds. The sheriff was forced to admit on live television that the definitive proof of premeditated stalking is gone. The suspect might have been cased in the neighborhood, or he might not have been. The investigation is now flying blind regarding the lead-up to February 1st. Because of this collapse, the Pima County Sheriff's Department has had to pull back their resources from the primary search zone. Think about the wasted man-hours. For 51 days, volunteers and deputies have been knocking on doors asking, "Where were you on January 11th?" They were looking for witnesses to a specific moment in time that may not have even happened on that day. This mirrors the tragic digital ghost phenomenon we've seen in other high-profile disappearances. When investigators lean too hard on technology, they develop tunnel vision. They stop looking for the muddy boot prints or the discarded cigarette, but it's because they think they have the golden ticket on a hard drive. Now that the hard drive has failed them, they are forced to go back to boots-on-the-ground detective work. But the trail is 51 days cold. Rain has washed away physical tracks. Memories have faded. The golden window for finding physical evidence at the scene of the January 11th sighting is closed, bolted, and locked. And if you are waiting for a technical explanation from the powers that be, you are going to be waiting a long time. Both Google corporate representatives and the FBI's Cyber Forensics Division have completely stonewalled the press. They are issuing zero comments on this specific timeline issue, likely due to the massive liability and the ongoing nature of the federal investigation. Law enforcement has been left holding the bag, and the primary suspect's trail has just grown incredibly cold. We also have to look at the geography of where Nancy was taken. This is in a high-traffic urban center with thousands of cameras. This is a quiet, suburban pocket where people move there specifically for privacy. In an area like this, a stranger stands out, but only if you know when to look for them. The suspect in the footage was seen walking near the cul-de-sac that leads directly to the jogging path Nancy used every morning. If that footage was truly from January 11th, it showed a man practicing the route. It showed a man calculating the distance between the streetlights and the blind spots of the neighbors' windows. But without the date, we don't know if he was practicing for Nancy or if he was just a shadow passing through. This leaves the community in a state of hyperparanoia. If the police can't tell us when the predator was there, how can the neighbors know if they saw him? People are looking to their own old footage now, desperately trying to find a match, but they're doing so without a compass. We're looking for a needle in a haystack, and Google just took away our magnets. The silence from the FBI is perhaps the loudest part of this update. Usually, when a digital lead fails, the FBI's behavioral analysis unit steps in to provide a profile based on the method of the abduction. But even they are handcuffed, without a confirmed timeline of stalking, they can't determine if this was a disorganized crime of opportunity or a highly organized professional kidnapping. The difference between those two profiles is the difference between finding Nancy in a local house or searching for her across state lines. While we dissect the technical failures, the deleted metadata, and the sheriff's press conferences, we cannot lose sight of the agonizing reality at the center of this screen. It has been exactly 51 days. 51 days since Nancy Guthrie vanished from her life. 51 days of empty bedrooms, unanswered text messages, and a family living in a waking nightmare that most of us cannot even begin to comprehend. And right now, the pain of this technological massive failure is falling squarely onto the shoulders of the people who love her most. In the wake of this disastrous evidence update, Savannah Guthrie and the family released a heartbreaking, desperate plea to the public. Through tears, they delivered a simple, devastating message. They said, "We desperately ask the community for renewed attention to Nancy's case." They know what this means. They know that without the January 11th doorbell footage, The police are losing their grip on the timeline. The family is acutely aware that they can no longer rely solely on digital forensics, smart home devices, or server data. They are relying entirely on you, on human eyes, on human memory. The failure of the Nest camera means the burden of finding Nancy has been passed back to the public. They need someone, somewhere who saw something real, to finally step out of the shadows and speak up. This case has taken so many dark twists, but this technological failure is one of the most frustrating setbacks I have ever covered on this channel. It forces us to ask terrifying questions about the digital safety nets we all rely on every single day. I want to turn this over to you, the community, right now. Look down at the comments and tell me what you really think. What do you make of this massive Google Nest timestamp error? Do you believe this was simply a tragic, incredibly ill-timed technological glitch? Or, as some of the darker corners of the internet are already suggesting tonight, is there something else going on here? Could a sophisticated suspect have intentionally manipulated the local network to cover their tracks? I read every single comment, and your theories often catch things that the mainstream media misses. Drop your thoughts down below. If you want to help Nancy's family, the best thing you can do right now is keep her face and her name in the algorithm. Hit the like button on this video to push it to a wider audience, and share it on your social media platforms. The family needs human eyes on this, and sharing the video costs absolutely nothing. Please make sure you are subscribed with the notification bell turned on, as I will be monitoring the Pima County Sheriff's Office around the clock. The minute they release a new timeline or a new suspect description to replace the January 11 footage, I will have a video up for you immediately. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring about Nancy's case. And as always, stay safe out there. I will see you in the next investigation update.